Live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
It's a dark, gloomy, stormy start to the day. This is Safari Live. Ready. Standing by.
Five, four, three, two, one. You are live, you are live.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our sunrise safari from a rather grey Djuma Game Reserve in the northeastern corner of South Africa. Now, my name is Tristan, and on camera today I've got Craig, aka Batman, with his bat cam, and hopefully we will have a good day. I know Ali is going to be joining me this morning, which means she's going to head off towards where Thandi and Tamba were last night. They did have a little duiker kill, so hopefully she'll be able to find them there, and I'm going to check all the western side and see if there isn't any sign of our tawny cats this morning. Remember, this is live, it is interactive, which means hashtag Safari Live on Twitter is how you get hold of us should you want to ask any questions or just say hello. Now, some of you may have noticed no pre-show this morning. It's our new system that we're going to be doing going forward, is that there won't be any pre-shows. We'll just be going straight into the show. So I hope that you're all with us, you're all ready to go, and you've got your tea, coffee, and whatever else you need this morning to stay with us, or afternoon, depending on where you are in the world, to stay with us over the next 3 hours as we explore not only the South African wilderness, but, well, the wilderness in general. Now, like I was saying, I would like to try and see if we can't find any of the tawny cats. I just heard them roaring now, but they sound as though they are very far away, so I don't think they're in our side. I'll check anyway. They sounded like they were coming from the south, but I believe Ali, well, she's already started off the morning with spots, so let's go across to her so she can say good morning and introduce her spotted friend.
We have started the morning with some of the smallest spots around. We are looking at a beautiful spotted hyena just on its den side. Isn't that wonderful? It's very, very small. My name is Ali, and on camera with me today I have got Sam. And if you've got any comments or any questions, please feel free to send them through using the hashtag Safari Live, because we love hearing from all of you. Now, heading back onto our little hyena, we decided to come and have a look around here because we haven't been around to the hyena den in the last few days because they seem to be a bit elusive. But it seems like little Intima has not gone anywhere and perhaps very, very tired already. Look at that beautiful, cute face. Even its paws are all tucked in. And just having a bit of a sleep, aren't you? Now, there were no signs of the smaller cub around. Last time I came here about maybe 4 days ago or so, it went straight onto the hole. And it was, but it ran very quickly, and I don't think anyone's seen it since then. It could be around, but we don't know for certain. Hello. Very beautiful, very sharp ears, and as it gets older, those ears are gonna get slightly tattered, which is very typical for all the animals that live out here in the bush. The ears are a good way of aging them. And you see, there's something in the air. Sniffing something. I wonder what you can smell. Their sense of smell for all hyenas and hearing is very, very good, so I'm sure you can either pick up the scent of another animal around here, perhaps some more hyenas. Whatever it is, it was obviously quite interesting. And there is a little bit of a faint, like, rotten smell out in the air today. It's quite faint, but I wonder if that is what it was smelling. Maybe it's just faint to us, but the little cub here knows exactly what it is. Now, it's not common to have that smell around dens because the mothers don't normally bring big pieces of meat to the den. Every now and again they'll bring a leg or a few bones for the youngsters to eat, but it's not the most common of occurrences. A bit unrelaxed. Now, when it put its head up, I don't know if you guys noticed that it was dark on the bottom and it's quite light on top of the head, it's just because it's changing its color. So as hyenas, or when hyenas are born rather, let me start from the beginning, they are entirely dark. They look like a small little teddy bear, and as they start growing older, then they start becoming lighter in color, like the top of its head, and they almost become a bit gingerly in color. But that's gonna happen within the next few months, that the spots are also gonna become more and more obvious. So you see, even for a little cub, very alert. The ears keep moving in all directions. It can scent different things. So very well aware of everything that's around it, because often the mothers will leave the cubs here in the den, and they're gonna have to rely on instinct to be able to know when to hide, what to do, just in case they get surprised by any potential predator. Now there's definitely something around here that it can smell or hear every now and again, but I don't think it's of too much importance because it's gone back to sleep, or it almost wants to. Look at those tired eyes. So cute. It's been a long night. I think it's very tired. So for once, hyenas weren't too noisy last night. Daniel, you say he looks bored. Well, I think more than bored, it's actually quite sleepy. This is a very young hyena and it's very early in the morning. So I think maybe it's been up and moving and playing and doing different things, and now it's just gone back to sleep. Look at that. Now, if it had other companions to play around, or perhaps even bully in the case of a hyena and bite around, might be a bit more interested. Kylie, you're wondering how old this cub is. Well, it's, I would say, about 4 or 5 months old, if I'm not mistaken, because it's already starting to turn white, and they normally start turning white when they are about 3-ish months old. So it still is a very young hyena, and it's got a lot to grow. It's going to be probably about 3-4 times the size of what it currently is now. Such a pretty face. Shame it's properly asleep. Now there to the left, as you can see, that's the main entrance to the den, and there's another one just on the other side of this termite mound that the hyenas have been using to come in and out. So often at big den sites like this one, they will have more than one chamber, more than one entrance, just so if the little ones need to start running around, then they start moving in and out. Beautiful. I think someone's quite tired. Right. I'm going to travel around the other side of the den, see if perhaps any of the adults are there, because otherwise we're going to have to leave this one, because we don't want to cause any unnecessary trouble for a little damsel all by herself. So, let's just go and see. Perhaps they'll be on the other side. Alright, from Texas, you're wondering where its mom is. Well, we're wondering the same thing, so that's why we're going to go around onto the other side of the den and see if perhaps the adults are sleeping there, because I've seen them sleep there on quite a number of occasions. But with a lot of animals out here in the wild, the mothers don't spend all their time with the youngsters. Often they would leave them for days at a time while they go hunting and they can go feeding. And then they'll come back to the den and suckle them. So for all predators, lions, leopards, hyenas, they get used to having fast times where they don't eat anything. Whew. Alright, we're going to have a look around here and see what's happening. But while we do that, let's go over to Tristan and find out how his search is going.
Well, the only thing I've found so far is
little watery drops falling from the sky, which is not very good news at all. I suppose it's good news for the grass and for the trees and for the dams that are all drying up, but not great news for our camera equipment. So hopefully the rain will start to disappear. It seems as though it's on our eastern side of the sort of this area. It's coming along and shifting more northward, so I don't think it's going to stick around for too long, and hopefully it won't rain too much, because that might cause a little bit of an issue. So we'd have to go back and get our roofs on, and that would be pretty odd at this time of the year. It's not a time of year that we should be getting rain. Normally our rain only falls from sort of October through to March, April, and very few times do we get even any rain at this time of the year. So strange that we're getting a few drops, but I suppose it does happen. Sometimes these cold fronts from Cape Town push a little bit further north and we get a little bit of drizzle or a few drops of rain. That does occur every now and then, so it is not the most uncommon thing. Now I'm just coming up towards Sydney's Dam now. I want to quickly just check that there's no sign of the Intima Pride coming southwards. I haven't heard anything for them, and the last time I heard about them, they were on a wildebeest kill inside Buffalo's Hook. And so I don't know if they've gone north to Manyeleti, or maybe they've sneaked back this way and crossed west towards Simamili. But I'll check here quickly, because this will be a place that they will spend a lot of time. They like to come past Sydney's Dam and then sneak towards Simamili if they do go that direction. But so far there's no tracks to speak of. We've been looking very carefully, but nothing. In fact, there's been no animals whatsoever, or even birds to speak of, which is quite strange. But I have spotted a bird now in the distance, which we shall take a look at shortly. What's that on the road there? There's a wild dog, isn't it? Or a hyena? Something along that effect. No? Maybe impala? Impala. I thought it might be a wild dog because of the way that its legs were cut. It looked much shorter than what it is. Now I'd probably need my morning coffee because, well, I got a bit excited there. Anyway, that's the way it goes. It's dark and dingy, and that's what we're going to use as an excuse for my wild dog Impala. All we need to do is pin a big white fluffy tail onto it, and it would have been then the perfect wild dog Impala disguise. Craig, is that funny? Did you enjoy that? Eh? That was a good one, because Craig of course saw Impala straight away, but his vantage point from where he is much better than what mine is, so I just saw a much smaller creature, and that's why I shouted about it. But anyway, let's forget about that. That's not the best way to start the day, and please don't think that we will be like that for the rest of the morning. Hopefully we'll sharpen up a bit, and it takes a bit of time. I've had a few drives off, and so that's why it is the way it is. Now that's the bird that I was talking about earlier. It's a beautiful African fish eagle, and well, I imagine this fish eagle is having a whale of a time, because down in that dip is what used to be Sydney's Dam. I suppose it's now not really a dam anymore. It's more a muddy wallow, and there'll be lots of different fish that are being caught in those pools. And so as it gets less and less, so the catfish and varying other species of fish that would occur inside there, like bream, start to get pushed into shallow water, and it becomes an absolute fiesta for the fish eagle, as it comes down and just can really grab any fish that it wants to. It doesn't have to actually try too hard to find anything, so it really is a good way to hunters to find these drying up pans. And I remember watching last year, the fish eagles had an absolute whale of a time when they sat at some of these muddy wallows. They would literally just fly down and plop on top of a wriggling catfish in the mud, and they fed themselves stupid for about 3 months, and then it got really dry, and I think they had a bit of a tough time of it, particularly the ones that were younger individuals trying to forge their way and find their new territories. They were having a bit of a struggle. You can also hear a hardy-dar ibis calling in that area with that typical wah sound that they make. So that's a hardy-dar that's also probably rooting around somewhere in the edge of that waterhole, be looking for crickets. They've got big long beaks, so they're also around. But alas, no sign of lions, no tracks for lions, no tracks for the Intima Pride coming this way, which is a little bit surprising. I thought we might get those tracks coming southwards. We're overdue some lion tracks, and I was actually talking to Ali about it this morning, is that in the last 3 weeks I've seen one male lion, and that is it. I have not seen any other sign of lions. Oh, actually I lie, I had the stick. I did have the sticks. Other than that, it's been a little quiet on the lion friendly. Others have seen lions a little bit more. So I was hoping that I would pick up some sort of tracks that I would be able to follow. Now I do apologize if we get Now, I've been told that I need to remain stationary, but me remaining stationary is not going to help because I'm in the dip, and I'm pretty sure we're going to lose reception shortly. So I'm going to send you all across to gremlins are attacking.
Well, we had to unfortunately leave the hyena den because we couldn't find any adults. So procedures at any den, because we deem them to be sensitive sightings, is that we leave if the adults are not there. But it was good to see that the little one is still around and it's okay and just looking very sleepy. There are, however, lots of hyena tracks on the road, so I'm sure at one point they will all come back and just keep tabs on the youngster. Now, I know Tristan was talking about very unusual weather, and we're actually getting drizzled upon. So there are a few droplets that are falling from the sky, which is quite unusual for this time of the year. Normally we get showers roughly in September, but I am really hoping that this is not going to go past a few drops of rain, because I am a bit scared of the weather and the rain. So hopefully not. It's not, the sky though is not looking all too promising. It's looking quite dark. So I think we are probably just getting a cold front all the way from the coast on the southern western corner of South Africa. That's made its way all the way up here, and it's just stirring up all of our clouds and all of our weather. So hopefully this will be it. Now, unfortunately, I had to do quite a big loop around to head down towards where Tamba was seen, and I don't think I gave you the update from Thandi and Tamba yesterday. So when we went out on drive before, well, we got a bit attacked by the gremlins, so I apologize about that, but I think our tech team managed to fight them all off, because they are very incredible people when it comes to fighting of gremlins. And Thandi and Thamba were both seen together. So Thandi actually had a kill, but I'm not too sure if there's going to be anything left because it was a diker, so it's quite a small kill, small antelope, but they were both there. Good to see that they're still in good condition yesterday, and hopefully they'll be sticking around today. I am surprised that they didn't go over to the dam cam. I was certain that at one point they were going to go back to have a drink, as it seems like they've been enjoying it there, but who knows, maybe they've moved off. So I'm still slowly making my way into that area. Hopefully we'll be able to see either one of those leopards. And then maybe we shall see. I actually didn't find Tamba yesterday though. We went looking for it and we drove up and down that drainage line, but I wasn't sure where he had gone off to, so it was a bit complicated. I actually want to avoid those rocks. And one of the guys that had seen him in the morning, then he walked in there and then he found them. So I was very happy that he knew where they were from the morning, because that made everything a little bit easier. But other than that, I think also there was a report for Shadow's cub crossing onto our side. I'm not too sure if she crossed south. And also yesterday afternoon, that pack of wild dogs, the 3, they also popped by for a very short visit before heading back to Little Gowrie. So it was a good afternoon overall to find out who's been around. Pretty much everyone was around, but in the sense that we all know that they are still here somewhere. All we have to do is try and find them. Now this weather is a bit of a funny weather to find creatures. It is cold, so I think a lot of the animals, like the antelope and just herbivores in general, are probably going to be tucked in areas where it's slightly a little bit thicker, and of course the predators are going to be trying to follow behind and using the cover, hopefully to get close and have another meal. Nothing like the smell of burnt area in the morning. I was hoping that we were going to see some ground hornbills around here, because it seems like they've been enjoying this area, but maybe not this morning, hopefully later on. Seems like Tristan has managed to fight off the gremlins, so let's go back to him.
Indeed I have. I've now come southwards and away from where the gremlins live. Hopefully for the rest of the morning I won't have to deal with them. They are pesky at times, and hopefully that is the last time we see gremlins this morning. The good news is that it seems like our rainy, cloudy, horrible weather that is on the eastern side of us is going further east, which is fantastic. Looks as though we might have a little bit of a break-up in cloud, and hopefully the rain will go away, because like I say, the rain is going to put a dampener on what we're able to do and where we're able to go. So we're going to have to hope that the rain disappears. It can rain all night, I don't mind, or during the day, it's no problem, but for the next 2.5 hours it must go away. What say you, Craig? Do you agree? You don't want to get wet? Because it's one thing being wet in summer when it's nice and warm and it's 30 degrees Celsius. It's another thing altogether to be wet in the early morning in winter, because it's not that warm, and being wet in this is not going to be a fun and pleasant experience. So let's hope that that rain does indeed push further east and we don't have to stress about it any further. Now, unfortunately, no sign of any lions coming anywhere from the west that I can see, or any lions coming from the south around Sydney's Dam area. It's of course could mean that they crossed somewhere around Buffelshoek Dam or somewhere that side if they did come this way, but there's definitely nothing that I can see this side. So we'll have to change our plan of attack and change our story and see where else we can go and what we can go and look for. I'll just keep going down the western fringe just to see if there isn't any sign of shadow and cub. So, Law, you want to know how long ago the Nkuhuma Pride made a kill on Djuma? The last kill that I know about that they made was the zebra kill. That must be now... Ooh, when did Ferg leave, Craig? A month ago? It must be 4 or 5 weeks ago, I'd imagine, maybe even longer, since they killed that zebra down in the southwestern corner of Djuma. That is the last kill that I can remember. I might be completely wrong, and maybe while I was on leave, I know the girls saw the Nkuhumas a few times, and maybe they got lucky and had a kill, but I can't remember hearing or seeing any sign of them with a kill on Djuma. The last kill we know about was 2 days ago, Wildebeest kill in Buffelshoek, and prior to that was another Wildebeest kill a few days ago, and well, a few days prior to that. So they have been eating just fine. It's just they haven't been spending much time on Djuma for some reason. It's maybe due to the fact that there's very few buffalo here, but there's very few buffalo everywhere at the moment. Even if you go to Djuma, you go talk to the guys from Arathusa, Elephant Plains, Koro, they're all saying the same thing, is that they're really struggling to find buffalo, and there's not really that many around. So that's not the only reason. There must be some underlying circumstance. Maybe it's to do with the fact that they've had cubs that have died here previously. This is a theory that Herbie always tells me about, is that white muscle disease caused these lions to lose cubs, and they're unsure about it, and then who knows, we know that there was another new cub here, and that cub seemingly has disappeared as well, which maybe the Nkuhumas are just wary of this area now. They're not sure if it's a safe place for their cubs, and so they're spending a little bit of time away from it. It could be that. It's also, like I say, a fact that there's not that many prey animals for them on Djuma at the moment. There's very little in the way of plains game. We got the odd zebra herd and the odd wildebeest herd, but other than that, not much for them to actually feed on and sustain an ever-growing pride. At the end of the day, those cubs that are now a year old and slightly older are getting big, and that means that they require a huge amount of food between all of them. 11 lions does eat a lot, and so they're going to have to focus on trying to find a little bit more than what they're used to finding. So maybe that's why they're tending to push more into Manyaleti. Maybe they're finding buffalo up in that side, not here. So that could be the reason why we're not seeing them very much. Ultimately, also, they're lions, and they're part of nature, and nature does its own things, and there'll be ebbs and flows and cycles that they go through, and certain situations that they'll want to avoid and want to take advantage of, and so they do spend time all over the place. They're going to move around quite a bit. It would be nice though if they did come back to Djuma. I remember this time last year they were a permanent feature on Djuma. It was lions every day. So at end of the day, it would be nice to see them again, and nice to be able to have the Nkuhumas for longer than a single drive, because that's what it seems as though it is at the moment. Craig, you must wipe your lens. Now is a good time to wipe your lens indeed, because all right from Texas. You want to know if the buffalo migrate? All right. No, not really. They move around according to food availability. So when you have and water availability, they are highly dependent on water and as well as grazing, good grazing. And so you'll find that buffalo spend a lot of time moving to wherever they can find water or good grazing. And that means that the sort of best area for buffalo in the park, according to the grass surveys that have been done, is in the Manyaleti and that northern section above us. And so a lot of the buffalo spend time there. But then you'll also find that because this year or last year and this year has been a drought, the numbers of buffalo took a hit. And on top of that, we didn't get the best rains again this year. There was better rains further north of us, and I believe if you go to the northern side of Kruger, up past Mpani and into Shingwetsi and those areas, lots of big herds of buffalo up that side. So I think what's happened is that a lot of them have ended up going northwards, and then a lot have gone south towards the Sabi and Sand River, where there's a little bit more water than in areas like what we have now. So that's why we haven't seen too many buffalo. But no, they're not migratory species. They're not like the wildebeest and the mara that are going to move back and forth and be able to try and sort of find and follow the rains. That's not how it works here in this system. They'll just move little bits within their home ranges to try and find what they need. But generally what we find is that in the summer months they spend a lot of time on those good grazing areas, and then in winter, because they trample and exhaust those areas, they then tend to start shifting and they move into places like this where we get to see them. But I can't remember the last time I saw a proper herd of buffalo in the last year, at least. It's been a long time since there was really one of those big herds that we used to get. I remember in 2011, 2012 here in Djuma and in the surrounding areas, we used to get herds of over 700 sometimes coming through, and they used to spend a lot of time down this way, and those kind of herds are nowhere to be found at the moment. I haven't heard of a big herd like that down in the Sabi Sands for quite some time. So I think the droughts hit them quite hard, and it'll take a bit of time for them to kind of regroup and numbers to come up again. And luckily the thing with buffalo is that they breed fairly quickly, and so hopefully their numbers will come up. Now I do apologize if you hear me sniff every now and then. It is a little chilly out here this morning, and that causes the old nose to run a little bit, so I do apologize, and hopefully it won't interfere with what's going on for too long. We're just checking now Impala Plains. I'll take Mendoza Road and head further to the southwest. Like I say, I'm just checking for any signs of shadow and cub. There was a report apparently yesterday that Shadow's cub did cross north onto Djuma. Whether or not that was verified, I'm not quite sure. I know that Ali said she wasn't 100% sure where or if it actually did cross, but let's see how we go. Maybe we'll get lucky with them. That'll be quite nice to see Shadow and the cub. It's been a long time since I've seen the cub, because with this kind of weather it's going to be tough for everything else. So you're going to find even birds are not going to be too happy about it. They're going to spend a little bit of time all fluffed up on the branch. But there is a zebra there in front. Charlie, Shadow's cub is not old enough to be wandering alone, but don't forget that it is going to be left by itself at times. And so what it does is it will go towards areas that it feels safer. And so if it's left, let's say hypothetically 20 meters south of the boundary, close to that drainage line that's on Djuma, it will just cross the road towards the drainage line where it will feel safer. So while it is not old enough to walk around by itself and to do long sort of loping movements, it does have the ability to go and hide and to try and find safer areas, and it is big enough now to be able to climb trees and move around on its own accord within a small area, so you'll find it moving a bit. Remember that Hasana and Shongile were not much older when they were left by themselves. I suppose they were at least sort of 5 months older when they got left by themselves, but they still essentially weren't much older, and they were able to find their way. So even though it is small and it's still reliant on mom, it can move a little bit and try and find areas that it feels more comfortable. And that drainage line that we know that runs parallel with Gowrie Main on Djuma is one of the safest places for her. She often spends a lot of time in there. She'll know it very well. It's thick, it's dense, it's the perfect place for a leopard to hide, well, a leopard cub in particular. Now, interestingly enough, it seems as though there's only one zebra. I can't see any other zebras that we have here. I'm going to try and just go forward because I want to just see if the rest of the herd isn't around. But it would be quite odd to have just the one zebra by itself. It's not a common species to have by itself. It does sometimes happen when you get young males that are evicted by big dominant stallions, and you'll get a situation where they have to then move around by themselves. And so, Mary, you were wondering about this, and this is what happens is the young males, as they start getting physically bigger and stronger, they're then competing with the dominant stallion in this particular area. It's a little bit different to the Mara. Here we have dominant stallions and small groupings of zebra, and so when there's a threat in the form of another male, you'll find that they will be pushed away. Oh, the oxpecker gave it a fright and made it run away. Don't worry, zebra, it's just an oxpecker landing on you. And so you will find this situation where these young males sometimes are on their own, and they'll form little bachelor groups, so they'll try and join up with other young males and form little groupings on their own. What also could have happened, as you never know, is that there might have been some sort of predator that has separated them, and that's why we've got one by itself. It's been somehow separated and will try and find its way back to a herd again at some point, or it's just really lagging behind. But it's not that common to see zebra on their own. In fact, it's very uncommon to see them like this. You normally find, even if they are evicted, they join into groups with others. So I'm not sure, maybe the rest are somewhere close by. Like I say, it's quite dense here on the left hand side, so it's very possible that zebras have found their way into this thicket, and I just can't see them at the moment. And given the fact that I called a impala, a hyena, or a wild dog, I suppose my eyesight can't be trusted this morning anyway, so we'll have to just try and scope around and check. But the ever-present oxpeckers, I was talking about the birds not being too active this morning, but the oxpeckers will still be moving around. They don't worry too much. They're able to go and land on on the prey on these animals, and they're able to prey on those insects and various other things. But you will find they'll be quite puffed up in the interim, trying to stay warm. So, Crazy Goose, you're wondering if a zebra is part of a horse family, or part of the horse family. Well, indeed it is. It's an equine, so it is part of those horses, donkeys, mules, all of that. But it is probably more closely related to a donkey than it is a horse itself. But it is part of that family, so they all are in it together. Now, it seems as though the rain is starting to come down properly, which is not good news for us. We're going to probably have to head back and try and get to a roof, because we're not going to be able to stay out here with the cameras in the rain that's starting to fall now. So I'm going to try and start heading back that way. Hopefully this will just be a passing little shower and we won't have to worry too much, but it is starting to get a little on the heavy side. So we're going to have to probably put covers on the camera right now. So if you see a black bag going over the camera lens, I do apologize, because unfortunately that's what we're going to have to do to keep it safe. So I don't know if Ali is okay. Now it sounds like Ali has managed to find some more spots, so while we cover the camera, let's quickly go across to her.
We did! Look at that camouflage. It's a headless spot. No, that is actually beautiful Tamba, and you can see that he is quite full up there. It seems like he's got quite a full belly. Like I was saying earlier on today, Thandi was very efficient yesterday, and she managed to bring down a diker. Doesn't seem like there's anything around, but she's fine now. Sorry guys, I just have to answer the radio. Standing by. Hey firm, I just got here. Both ingwes are where we left them yesterday. Hello, beautiful Thandi. This is only, I think, the second time that I've actually seen her, or well, the third time, but very, very happy to know that she's here. Now, we also bumped into a hyena on the way here that was running with a piece of meat in its mouth, but she went down straight into the drainage line, so I'm not too sure. Maybe it's one of the females related to the little cub we saw earlier on, and they're not at the den, maybe because they've been looking for food. Just like this beautiful girl was doing earlier on. Now, we are getting rained upon. There is a bit of, still, a few droplets in and out, and I think maybe Thandi saw something earlier on that she wasn't too happy about. But Tamba, not too worried. He is up at the perfect spot. I don't know if maybe going back a little bit will give us a better view. He's just eating the last remains of the kill. Alright, let me just maybe reposition. Oh, and there are some impala in the distance. Maybe that's what she was looking at, actually. Alright, guys, I'm just going to move, see if maybe we can have a bit of a better look at Tamba's face, because it's a bit of a tricky spot where he is. But, I think this is going to work much better. We're going to be able to see his face. Hey, Seb. Alright, perfect. Hello, boy. Well, someone's having breakfast. There we go, and you see how well... Alright, it is a bit of a gruesome view, so if you have any issue with what we're looking at, please maybe just go for a cup of coffee. Wait until he's done with his kill. Not too bad. It seemed like it was a small antelope, like I was saying, a great duiker, which is one of the smaller ones that we have in this area, and I'm surprised it's lasted these two leopards so long. We were actually slightly convinced yesterday that they were not going to be around here this morning because the kill wasn't too big. But maybe they were already full from another kill, and that's why it lasted. Hello, Tamba. Maybe some hair in your mouth. And there's beautiful Thandi. Always the queen of the termite mounds, hey? She's got some striking eyes, I must say. Now that I'm able to see her a bit more in the open. And you see, it's this weather that's making her a bit edgy. Maybe she knows by experience that she's got to be a little bit careful. Now it's properly... well, not properly raining, but definitely a lot more rain coming down. But they have a wonderful spot in this massive jackalberry that I'm being told was also one of Karula's favorite jackalberries, and it's a massive tree. Very beautiful, and funny enough, when I first started at Djuma, I always said I would love to see a leopard up this tree. And now we get the both worlds. We get one leopard on top of this beautiful tree. Look at that. Oh, that is incredible. So Tamba has claimed the tree. And then, of course, his mother was down on a termite mound. So I don't think we get the perfect spots for leopards, all of them in one place. And it is just one of the biggest jackalberries that we have around Djuma, or at least that I have seen. And there he is, still busy feeding. Oh, my radio, standing by. A-firm, you can make your way. It's just myself here, both the Mafazi and the Mantuan. James, you're wondering how many species of felines are there in Africa? Well, I think quite a number of them, because the Felidae family is quite extensive and it englobes everything from wildcats to servals to lions to leopards. So I'm not too sure. I would take my book out and try to find out from you, but I'm gonna do that in a little bit when it stops raining, because I think I'm gonna damage my book if I take it out now. So if you don't mind holding on to that question for a while longer, I'll gladly try to find the answer for you in a little bit. But I would assume, like, at least of the ones that we see around this area, we've got lions, leopards, servals, caracals, wildcats. So at least 5 of them. I'm sure I'm missing quite a few of the smaller ones. But we'll be able to find out in just a little bit, because the rain is now coming down, and it's odd to have so much rain at this time of the year. This is normally our winter time, and we're having some summer weather. But you are just happy up there, aren't you, Tamba? You've got the best spot and you've got breakfast. What else could you ask for? Country gal, you're wondering how much longer Tandi is going to be with Tamba. Well, that is a question that we're all very curious to know the answer, because it seems like Tandi has been seen around Tingana quite often lately, and they've also been sharing kills by reports that we've had around the radio. Perhaps Tingana has actually been trying to steal them, so all of it indicates that Tandi is perhaps coming into Easter soon, so maybe she won't be with Tamba for all that much longer, although I feel like Tamba is a bit young still to be on his own. But I suppose that at least for the next 3 to 4 months, Tandi will be around Tamba. Because even if she does go into heat and if she does fall pregnant, then Tamba will have at least 3 months notice before he's pushed away from Tandi. But often, I've particularly found it with male leopards, that they tend to hang around their mothers for quite a while, even after they've got their first litter. So we'll see. But I would say that Tamba's still got a few months, and she is still providing for him, because she's the one that made this kill and brought it to him. But as we know, he's also capable of going hunting by himself. I think Taylor had him hunting Nyala a few days ago. So he's also starting to develop his skills as a hunter more and more. And of course, he loves eating, as we can see. I think we arrived at a very good time. Yeah, you're happy your mom brought breakfast, aren't you? Nursfold, you're wondering how long they can go without feeding. Well, they can go a few days. Even from a very young age, from when they're born, they're used to fasting and they're engorging themselves, because the mother will have to go and hunt, and once she's eaten, then she'll come back and just feed them until their bellies get very fat and round and very pretty. So they can go for a few days without eating, and then they can eat as much as about maybe 10% of their body weight, so they can eat maybe 10 kilograms of meat straight away, and that'll last them as a reservoir for a few days until they digest it, and then the whole process starts again. You can see Tandi's a little bit wet. She doesn't have such a nice spot as Tamba does up on the tree, and she's doing a very good job of braving the conditions. I think the rain is starting to calm down for a little while, so hopefully we'll be able to stick around here for a little while longer. I think it's actually stopped now. Ah, great. So otherwise we would have to put a roof on, but I think we're fine for now. So I just apologize if you've seen any spots of water on the lens, but I think Seb did a very good job at taking them all out.
Yeah, I think there's some new ones without in the lens.
Yes, that's fine. And I can almost see the sun wanting to break through the clouds, so I'm sure, just to give you guys an idea of what we're dealing with, it's a very grey sky, but almost in the distance. Well done, Seb. The sun will start coming out. But I think it's just a little remnants now, so let's just stick around here and enjoy, and then if we do have to, and we'll put on more layers on, even for good old Wendy. Sorry guys, that is Seb cleaning the lens. Just that you're wondering if leopards are mean because they don't share food. Well, they are sharing right now, but normally it's only a mother and a cub that will share. In the case that we're looking at, the mother's at the bottom, the cub is at the top, and she made the kill, so she's allowing him to eat part of the kill that she's made. But sometimes as well, if there are two adult leopards, a male and a female, that are engaging into a mating session, then sometimes they are also known to share kills. But in general, because they are solitary animals, a kill is something that they have to work really hard for. So they don't want to share it with any other animal unless they have to. And I think, look at Tamba, I don't think he would want to share this kill at all. James, you're saying you're so happy to see your favorite leopards. Well, yay, I'm glad that they were here. Because yesterday we weren't too sure if they were going to stick around. But I'm very happy that they are, and that they are on one of my favorite trees. So how's that? Worked out for everyone. Okay, Gabi, you can make your way. Just another one of the vehicles that is gonna come and join us because it is a very beautiful sight. And Tamba is active and eating over there. Andy, you're wondering how old cubs are when they get weaned of their mother's milk. Well, they're normally around about 6 months old, but they start getting introduced to meat when they're just a few weeks old. So about, I would say, 3 to 4 months old, they start eating meat because the mother's milk is not enough to sustain them. And they'll start eating, and the mom will start either bringing small kills to them, or if the distance is not too great, then she will come and pick the cubs up and then take them back to wherever it is that she's made the kill. It's a slow process of just getting the little ones brave enough to move around with them and start eating everything they need to grow up. And you can see that Tandi's done a very good job, because Tamba is definitely one of the biggest cubs that I've seen, at least for a while. He's unusually big for his age. And I think he's got a very fat belly over there. Look at that. Someone's been enjoying the kill. He does almost look like a little ball on top of that tree. And of course his very beautiful long tail. It is funny because when we came to see him yesterday, he was on top of the tree, but then exactly in that spot where he is, but he just pretty much went to sleep. And the kill was not where he is, so clearly at least he moved once during his nighttime and grabbed the kill, put it up there, but obviously that's a more comfortable spot on the tree. Ferociously eating. Sean, you're wondering how many species of leopard live in Africa? Well, there's just one species of leopard here, the African leopard. So the ones that and they're pretty much all over. I think the only place that we don't find them is in the Sahara, but from the sub-Saharan area all the way down to South Africa, it's the same species that we get. Now there are other species of leopards around the world, but somebody's getting up. But this is the only one that we get in this particular area. Look at the size of those paws. He's so big. Now I think the kill, there isn't too much of it left, judging by how he's started licking and struggling with some of the rib pieces. But overall, it seems like it was a good kill, or a good meal. I wonder maybe if he didn't catch something small in the last few days, and now he's very happy to have something really big. And then of course Thandi down there, gorgeous mother, keeping an eye out on her youngster, also while falling asleep.
Mother lying down in the ground.
Andy, you're saying that she's got the most beautiful colored eyes. I was actually thinking about it earlier, about how pretty her eyes are, and I think Tamba's got a similar coloration to her. They're very beautiful indeed. But you see, even when she was almost falling asleep, there was something that she heard, something, and gets up, starts looking, and then likely she's gonna fall asleep again. Now there are impala not too far from here, but they're just in the thickets, about, I would say, maybe 20 meters away from us. I don't think she's aware of them just yet, but who knows, might be a good spot for them to stick around. Obviously food is around, so why not? She looks so sweet sleeping like that, doesn't she? Almost like your normal house cat. Kyle, you're saying that Thandi is quickly becoming your favorite leopard. Well, she is a very cool leopard to watch. So she's definitely one to have on top, and I like it that she's been spending so much time around the dam with Tamba, and hopefully we'll carry on seeing a lot more of her. You are very pretty. I think she's almost in a sleeping trance. Wants to be awake but asleep all at the same time, so it's hard to choose. Now I wonder if perhaps that hyena that was around that we saw running earlier on, it wasn't exactly here and it came from a different direction, but I wonder if perhaps that's not an indication that there's another leopard somewhere around here, or if perhaps Tamba dropped a piece of the kill of the diker and then the hyena grabbed it and carried on running away. Oh, shame you are tired. You had a long day. Seems like Tristan has managed to put his rain gear on, so let's go over to him and find out if he's feeling a bit warmer now.
Well, I'm in no way protected whatsoever. The car is now protected and the camera is protected, which is the most important thing, but I have got no rain covers, so alas, I am still getting wet and still rather cold. But hopefully the rain looks as though it's now clearing up. Of course it would, because I rushed home and put on a rain on the roof and everything like that. I'm pretty sure it will clear up now and we'll have no more rain for the morning. It's normally how it goes out here, is that as soon as you actually put preventative measures, things disappear and you don't have to worry anymore. It's quite irritating when it does happen that way, but it is Murphy's Law. But better to have the camera protected, especially the bat cam. The bat cam does not like rain, so it's better to protect and to make sure all is fine. And at least I got probably the sighting of the morning, which was Taylor in her pajamas with her fellies on. Now fellies are a type of shoe we get here in South Africa. Fellies is short for veldskoen, which basically means bush shoe. That's basically what it translates to. And so the bush shoe is not something that goes very well with pajamas, and Taylor was wearing her pajamas with it, and she was very concerned that I was going to put her on camera and show her to the world in her pajamas as she helped us with our roof. And I'm trying to just turn down the radio for the Game Drive channel because they're making a lot of noise in my ear, and for unnecessarily so. But it was quite funny to watch Taylor prancing around trying to help us, and she was very concerned about all of this. So next time we'll have to catch her sneakily and take a photo so we can show all of you what we're talking about. But thank you to Taylor and Byron anyway for helping us. These roofs are not easy to do by yourselves, and just 2 people it's a big struggle to get them on, but at least when you got 4 people it makes life a lot easier. Now hopefully the rain will stop so that I don't get a wet backside, because I can feel already that there is a bit of wetness creeping through, and a wet backside is not the most fun element of this job when it rains. At least now I've sorted it out that I'm feeling a little bit more comfortable. We have these canvas covers that help with trying to keep the rain off, and I've now slid that over the seat and that feels much better now, and there we go, no more wet backside. Happy days. Now I'm going to carry on my original mission, since it seems as though Ali has all the luck this morning. She's managed to find all kinds of interesting things, and I'm going to go try and see the southern boundaries, and maybe I'll get lucky with something down that way. Seems as though it must be a spotted day for Ali. She's got leopards and hyenas and varying other creatures, and it seems as though, well, nice to hear that Thandi and Thamba are together and that the 2 of them are still moving around, which is quite nice. Now I believe Ali is still there, and I'm sure she'll spend most of her morning there with Thandi and Thamba, and why wouldn't you? It is probably 2 of the most beautiful leopards we have. So let's go across there and see what little Thamba is doing and whether or not he's still feeding.
Well, I think he is properly feeding, and I'm surprised just by how wide his canines are. Now, it is quite nice. I think the weather is going to start warming up pretty soon, which is very good for all of us, because then Thandi and I are going to look like we're not that cold anymore. And Tamba, well, I think he's just got the best spot in the house. Likely he can just stop feeding, perhaps even drop the kill and carry on sleeping in that spot without having to move all that much. I am surprised that there's still so much meat left in that kill. It doesn't, when we first arrived, it didn't seem like there was too much, but I think he's threading carefully now in between all the bones. Oh, that's a bit too much. So if you do look like a normal house cat. Like I said, if this is a bit too much and you find it that is a bit sensitive to watch, please do look away. It is the raw power of nature, and this is how this youngster is going to manage to get into adulthood just by feeding on everything that mom manages to catch for it. So I must say that is a bit of a funny view. Oscar, you're wondering if it's only leopards out of the cat family that only climb trees. Well, no, not necessarily. Leopards are well known in this area for climbing trees, and especially for putting their kills up trees just to avoid competition from other predators like hyenas. But also I have seen lions on top of trees on plenty of occasions. They, however, are a bit too heavy and not as agile, but they can go up in trees. And then we've got caracals and wildcats, which are smaller cats that also have a semi-arboreal lifestyle. So they always go up. So lots of cats can go up and down, just some of them choose to do it more often than not, and some that are heavier like the lions, well, they can, but it's not ideal for them. But I think in places like in the Masai Mara, for example, you would see lions up the trees a bit more often just to try and escape from the annoying tsetse flies. Whereas here leopards are just so used to trees being safety to put up or kills to get away from predators that they do it more often than some of the other ones. Sean, you're wondering if leopards can digest bone. They can. They will digest pretty much everything that they try to eat, but they will not eat as many or as much bone as a hyena, for example. Their jaws and their teeth structure is not as specialized as the one for hyenas, but they still need to have some sort of bone added to their diet to be able to grow. If you can imagine, calcium is the most important thing to strengthen the bones and grow up. So if they don't eat bone, then they're not going to be able to grow as much as they should. And I think the lack of calcium is definitely one of the biggest concerns when you have captive leopards or captive animals in general, because a lot of the times the meat just has an overload of phosphorus, but you also need to add some calcium, because otherwise your animal won't look fat, but his bone density is going to be so low that it's eventually going to be very weakened, because its bones are not going to be able to hold it together. Well, not hold it together, but hold it up. Shame girl, you are very alert. I wonder if perhaps that hyena is not lurking somewhere in the area. Crickets, you're wondering if leopards have more fun during the day than during the night. Well, that depends. They are believed to be not solely nocturnal creatures or diurnal creatures. A lot of people call them crepuscular animals, so that they'll start moving in low light conditions, so that it is early morning or late afternoon when the sun is either coming up or down. But I find that I've seen, or in my experience at least with the leopards in the Sabi sand, they can have as much fun during the night as during the day. I think, as a matter of fact, I've seen them more active during the day than during the night, but we then follow them around in the morning and we just look at their tracks and we know that they've been walking for quite a while. So I think it's a mix of things. Oh, Tandi, did you see I think maybe she's... Oh no, I got excited. She looked up and then I thought that maybe she was looking at the impala, but no, the queen's just decided to move around. Well, and by queen I mean the queen of this termite mound. She's looking very pretty. Got that typical leopard look when she gazes into the distance, maybe pondering about life. And funny enough, Tristan and I were talking about it yesterday. There is something about olive karula's offspring, and I find it that it's just on the bottom part of the jaw from the nose down, that shadow karula and shongile, they share almost, I don't know if it's the look or there's some sort of resemblance that you can see there, because we know that they're related, so you're not imagining it. You know that there is a motherly relationship on that side. And funny enough, I don't know, in leopards, I don't think the study has been done, but in civets, they did a study quite a while ago about their spots. And now civet is an animal that is also spotted, not strictly in the cat family, but somewhat in appearance similar to to the cats, or the spotted cats, and it's that related civets have also similar spot patterns. Now, I don't think this has been studied just yet for the leopards, and I would reckon it would be quite hard to determine as they're all different. But who knows, it would be interesting to see if science manages to get us an answer for that one day, and see if, besides genetic, if there's a more obvious spotted relationship in between all of them. Because we do know that the coat of every individual leopard is different, and all of their rosettes, all of their spots are entirely unique to one another. Catherine, you say that you agree that there's a resemblance between the leopards. Yeah, I can't say that it's, you know, that you would be able to say, ah, this part of the leopard, but there's something, a certain air to them that gives it away. And I haven't quite decided what it is, but there is something. I must say, Thandi, you also look quite full. Not as full as your son, who's pretty much finished everything and he's happy up there, but you're not looking too bad yourself. And I think she's a lot happier now that the rain stopped and the sun's starting to come out. I'm going to stick around with these two beautiful leopards, find out what they get up to, but while we do that, let's go over to Tristan and find out where he is and what he's seen.
Well, I've seen absolutely nothing. Nothing out here this morning. There has been no sign of any animals down our new road, which I was hoping I would find some sort of sign. It's a little difficult now because the rain that we've just had fall has created a sort of darkening on the road, and it's making seeing tracks quite tough. There's also now a little bit of pitting on the tracks, and so they're not as defined and as clear as they would have been prior to the rain, which is, I suppose, okay. At least we know, though, if we do find tracks and they're on top of the rain, how they will be very, very fresh indeed. So just checking around. So far there's no sign anywhere here of any sign of shadow or cub crossing anywhere that I can see. I will check towards Gari main side though, just to make 100% sure, but other than that, it's quiet. There's no birds out. I think with that little storm, or a little bit of rain that we had, everything took shelter for a bit, and the sun hopefully will start coming out now. It seems like it's going to start coming out, and that will then help with getting everything a little bit more active. David, you're wondering if the light rain will bring out the insects? Well, no, not really, David. It's still too cold for the insects, and this amount of rain is not even enough to settle the dust. As soon as that sun comes out, within, I would say, half an hour, all of what's fallen will be burnt off and dried out. So it's not going to be enough to cause insects or frogs or any of those to really start coming out. You'll find we need a little bit more warmth to come, and then a slight bit more rain than what we've got now. I mean, this was, like I say, not even enough to really settle the dust. You can see in some places the road is not even in any way disturbed by it. It's still dusty and dry, and so not really great in terms of rainfall. Now I'm just thinking maybe it's worth checking this little fire break towards the Triple M junction, because sometimes Shadow and Cub like to spend time this way, as I was explaining earlier this morning. So I'm just going to check along here and see if I can't find any sign of them. She often likes to just come straight across and through and into this drainage that runs on my northern side here. So I want to just have a little check around and see. Larido, you're wondering if Shadow and Thandi recognize each other. Well, I don't know if they recognize each other. They certainly won't in any way tolerate one another. So even though they are sisters, they're not going to be interested in spending time around each other. Now, sorry, I'm just trying to turn the car because with these rain covers, we've got a field of view of that. So I'm trying to show you that there is a wildebeest over there. It was moving. Of course, it's now stopped behind a bush because that's what they do. And they often are like this. And hopefully he will come out. Come on, keep going. A little bit more. Now, of course, it's funny because we're sitting here looking at a lonely wildebeest and hoping that it'll come out from behind a bush, when the guys in Kenya are probably getting quite tired of wildebeest at this stage, of the thousands and thousands that they are seeing. It's really amazing that the migration has started to arrive in their area now, and some of the crossings that they've had and some of the action that they've had has been absolutely amazing, and it's been really cool to watch what goes on there and to see how it's been playing out, and how this migration, when it arrives, just is a complete sort of game changer in terms of what goes on there and the way the animals behave and move around. So interesting, just the sort of dynamic of them with thousands of wildebeest and us getting excited over one. So this particular area, we don't see too many wildebeest, and this is one of our dominant males. He spends a lot of time in this area. You see him quite regularly rolling around on the roads here and sitting and watching what goes on, normally accompanied by some impalas, and every now and then a zebra, and maybe if he's lucky some females move through, but that's not that often, unfortunately. Not too many females around here for him to be able to find. So he needs to kind of move around and hope that females find him more than him finding females on his own, because most of the females are accompanied by big males, and if he's not big enough to challenge, well, then he's unfortunately living a life of a bachelor. And the reason why I say we often see him with impalas and other animals is because a wildebeest is not the brightest animal, but it's not that dumb that it doesn't know that more animals means safer. So you'll find that they'll try and group up with impalas and other animals like that, just so that there's more eyes and ears, and it allows the wildebeest to be able to feed a little bit longer without having to really pay as much attention. When it's on its own like this, it's got to be very wary, because any predator that sees this, so any lions, not so much leopard, I suppose it's a little bit big for that, but even hyenas to a degree will definitely go after a lone wildebeest like this. It's a much softer target than an animal that's surrounded by a whole bunch of others. It's less eyes and ears and noses to be able to pick up their threats, and so you'll find if lions came across here, they would most definitely want to hunt this wildebeest. So Sean, you're wondering what the difference is between blue and black wildebeest. Well, Sean, I think the best way to do this is to show you the difference between these two. But generally, just from looking at our blue wildebeest, you can see it's got almost like a grey-blue shine to it, which the black wildebeest won't have. And also the horn structure is a little bit different. So you see their horns point to the side of their head, so they go out and then curl upwards from the side, whereas a black wildebeest goes from the forehead and goes forward and then up. So I'll show you now what I'm talking about. Let me just find them in the book. Alright, so here's our blue wildebeest, which is the same as what we're obviously seeing in front. So you can see what I'm talking about. They've got their horns that grow from the center outwards past the ears and then curve upwards, and so this is the easiest way to distinguish them, is from the horn structure. If I go to the black wildebeest, which is on the page previously, there we go, you see how their horns grow from the front towards there. They also have this white patch on the back and then a very white or light colored tail, whereas our wildebeest that we see here has got that dark black tail and does not possess the white on top of its back. And that's the difference between the two of them. You'll also find there's a lot more bearded nature to the black wildebeest. You'll find lots of sort of hair that comes down from the chin and from the facial area, whereas these guys have a little mane that comes down, but it's not as big or nearly as developed as what you'll see in the black wildebeest males. Now, of course, black wildebeest don't occur in this area. They're more down in the eastern side of South Africa, so we see them towards sort of KwaZulu-Natal, and then in the Free State, which is the central parts of South Africa, you do find them there as well, but none up in this area. Now, the wildebeest that you're seeing in the Mara are also different to the ones that we've got here. They are the white bearded wildebeest, so a little bit different to what we've got as well. John, you want to know if these guys chew one way or do they chew the other way? Well, John, if we just watch him for long enough, we'll see that he'll chew in every direction. He's not going to only chew one way. If he only chewed one way, he would wear his teeth down, and you'd have a problem that one side of the jaw would have teeth that are far more worn than the other side. So it would be nice he just lifted his head and we could see, but they'll chew different ways. They're not going to only chew the one way all the time. Have you just noticed us that we're here? You can see all of a sudden it's just perked up a little bit. And it has to be. So when they're down feeding like this, they're making quite a bit of noise as they chew and move grass. And so sometimes they don't pick up sounds, and then all of a sudden they'll hear something, and that's why they pop their head up and listen and see what's going on. Now, of course, our wildebeest is enjoying grazing and having his morning grasses, but little Tamba, well, he's enjoying his morning meat. And let's go across and see just how much.
Well, he definitely is, and now that the sun's starting to come out, we can see him in a bit more of color. And I am surprised that he has not stopped eating all this while. So Thandi moved from the termite mound where she was, so we moved with her. And we thought that maybe she was going to climb up the tree, climb up this beautiful jackalberry. But then, funny enough, as she was walking underneath the branch where Tamba is now sitting, Tamba dropped a piece of meat and it pretty much landed on Thandi. And now she's busy eating as well, so she's having a few scraps. So there's Tamba all the way up there, and then there is Thandi all the way down at the bottom. There she is. Very hard to see her amongst that grass, but she is busy eating whatever it is, or whatever part of the diker that Tamba dropped. So we were talking about leopards sharing kills. This is a pretty good example of the two of them peacefully sharing. I think, however, if that piece of meat hadn't dropped, Thandi would have likely gotten all the way up there and maybe reminded Tamba who made the kill and just have more of a bite. So I think it's worth sticking around, see if perhaps she does go up this jackalberry, and maybe we will have these two beautiful leopards up there. But she also seemed, when she got up and she started moving, we could also see that her stomach was looking quite full, so she's also had quite a good meal from this diker. Look at your camouflage. It would be so easy just to drive past them, and I'm sure yesterday when we came down looking for them, or at least she was hiding in a thicket, and it was almost impossible to see her unless you know where they've been walking. And I'm sure you guys can see why now. Unless if she were to be standing perfectly still, we know where to look and we've got a zoom, but at eye distance it's quite difficult to even be able to spot her. I'm very happy that they've chosen this jackalberry. Andy, you're wondering if Thandi has got Karula's territory now. Well, I can't say that she fully does. I think Karula's territory is now being split up amongst her and Shadow, and Shongile is also occupying a part of it. So it's hard to tell. Karula was without a doubt the Queen of Djuma because all of this territory belonged to her, but now that she's been missing, then Thandi seems to have pushed in more towards the lodge area and just the eastern side, whereas Shadow and her cub seem to be hanging around more around the southern and western side, and Shongile and Hosanna keep jumping in and out the Molowati. So I think there's still a balance that needs to be found amongst all of these leopards, and they're reshuffling and trying to find what's going to work for all of them. I think the fact that Shadow and Thandi have both got cubs at this time, it's perhaps a good indication that it's going to be a more peaceful reshuffling, because they'll have to look after their cubs and perhaps won't push their luck too far or too quickly. Especially Shadow, because she's got a way younger cub than what Tamba is now. But she stretches quite a bit, Thandi, from what we've seen, all the way from Chitwa all the way to here. And then Shadow still goes all the way to Huffman's and Arthur's and back up, and Shongile keeps coming in from here pretty much to the northern side all the way back south to Little Gowrie. So it's quite interesting to see what they've been up to, and I wonder what it's going to end up doing or where they're going to be going. But I think it's good for us, because then there was another piece of meat that you dropped. I don't think you're being too too good at this now. Luckily this one didn't land on your mother. Holly, you're wondering how their tails feel, if they're very thick and heavy. Well, they are quite thick, but their coat is very rough. It's not soft like the one of a normal house cat. I was involved in a leopard coloring activity once for research purposes, so we had to dart the leopard and fit a radio tracking color around its neck, and obviously you have to move it around, so that's how I know But the tail, I remember grabbing the tail because I had to move it, but it didn't feel like something too heavy or too bad. So I think it's just the feel of their coat, their fur is what shocks you first, because you see them and you think that they're such smooth, silky animals, but their fur is actually very rough. Well, it's got to be to survive in this environment, but they are very pretty. Look at that. Tamba, you are being a very happy leopard this morning, are you not? I think if he's not careful, he's gonna end up dropping whatever it is that he's got up there onto his mom once more. And I think the first time Thandi was alright with it. I don't think she's gonna be too happy if a bigger piece drops on her. Not too much left of this kill now, so hopefully they'll stick around during the afternoon. But there were some impala that were walking in the distance, so Thandi looks full enough not to be bothered too much by them, but perhaps when they come around this area again, she might get interested once more and start trailing them. Look at the pure power of those claws and of those paws as he grips or holds onto the diker and then carries on eating. For such a young cat, you've got very big paws, mister. Elizabeth, you're wondering up to what age can female leopards still birth cubs? Well, in nature, pretty much everything will have cubs or youngs as long as they're alive, and by that I mean maybe their success rate in raising the cubs as they get older, or the cubs surviving the first few months of their lives is not as high, but in general most creatures, as long as they live, they can bear youngsters. I think the only exception in the animal kingdom might be elephants and humans. But the rest of them can. Normally leopards live until they're about maybe 15 to 20 years, the females, and they can have cubs pretty much all the way. Now Thandi's gotten up. Maybe she's looking for that other piece that Tamba dropped earlier on. I think it was somewhere around there. Definitely looking for it. Going onto the tree. Oh, please jump on the right side of the tree. I'm not too sure what she's up to. Because she's hiding. She's not moving. I can see one or two spots. So I think maybe she's still looking for whatever it is that Tamba has been dropping. He hasn't been too careful. What do you say, Seb? Should we go around? Riddle, you're wondering if Shadow and her cub are more elusive than Thandi. Well, Shadow has a reputation for being quite an elusive cat, hence why they call her Shadow. Oh, you are looking at that tree like you want to go up. So I would say that sometimes it is a bit harder to find Shadow, but make no mistake, if a leopard doesn't want to be found or doesn't want to be seen, they know exactly what to do or where to go. Now she's looking at this tree in the typical I want to climb it way. Oh, come on. Did I just jinx us? You want it. Oh. Okay, okay. We'll forgive you. Having some of metabolic needs that need to be taken care of. Hopefully she'll turn around and go back up. Or go up, because we still haven't seen you up there. But it was her that actually hoisted the tree. Rexon was here yesterday with her when she did that, so we know that it was her and not Tamba, the one that put the kill up the tree. I think that is a very discreet way of putting it, Seb. Well done.
Let's give her some
privacy.
Privacy.
Yeah, of course. Hello, beautiful girl. Yeah, she does want to go up. She keeps looking up there. Come, pretty shadow. Oh, you're not a shadow, you're Tandi. She is very pretty. Simra, you're wondering what's the main difference between the clothes of a leopard and the ones of a cheetah. Well, the clothes of a leopard are retractable, meaning that there is a little sheath that they can put their clothes back inside, so they're not exposed all the time. Whereas a cheetah clothes are never retracted, so they're always out. And she's going back to the tree, so let's just come on, Shadow. I know you want to go up there. So that is the main difference. And now the cheetahs need to keep their clothes outside for traction when they go running, so the clothes help them grip the soil and then be able to run a little bit better, whereas the leopards mostly use them when they either go scent marking or when they either use their dew claw, which is a fifth claw, when they go hunting, and that they sometimes use to bring animals down, but they just keep them hidden because they're one of their best assets, so they've got to look after them. We've got some very noisy greenwood hoopoes that have joined the party. Seems like Tristan's still looking for the sister, so let's go over to him and see if perhaps he'll get lucky.
Well, I didn't hear exactly what Ali thinks I'm looking for, but at this stage, just anything really. It's not very much happening. I found very fresh tracks of Tingana, well, what I perceive to be Tingana, because it's the size of the track crossing into Arathusa on top of the rain. So those were not the ones I wanted to see. I wanted to see them going the other way, so unfortunately they've gone in there. So that's that. No sign of any tracks for Shadow and the cub. I don't know who said that they crossed, but I certainly can't find a single track for them anywhere, so I don't know. Maybe they were driven over during the night, but there's not a single track on our side that is visible when it comes to a female and cub track. And I drove around that area very slowly to check purposely, but no sign that I can see. So now I'm coming towards Treehouse Dam. I'm coming to check if there's any sign of anything here. There was tracks for a elephant bull walking in this direction, but I think those are from last night or yesterday afternoon. Seems as though there was a couple of hyena tracks on top of them, so I don't think he will be here. In fact, I can see he's not here already. The water is just off to my left hand side, so we'll go and just quickly have a little look. You never know, maybe something is lurking. At this stage though, it seems as though it's all quiet at Treehouse Dam, and I'm not surprised given the morning and the temperatures and the way the morning is. It's not a morning that's going to drive animals to come and have a drink at the waterhole. It's a type of morning where we're going to probably see a very quiet Treehouse Dam. Now I'll have to pull into Treehouse Dam this way, because otherwise we're not going to be able to see very much, given that we have our rain covers on. Not that we need them now. The sun is starting to come out, and of course this is the way Murphy works, is when you put them on, the sun will come out and we'll get a situation where we never needed them in the first place. But you can see it is beautifully still this morning. One thing that is nice when you have a kind of rainy morning, as it often is very still afterwards, and you get this really clean reflections that will be on the water. No sign of our hippo friend either this morning, or any of our terrapins. I imagine it's a little cold for the terrapins at this stage. They'll come out a little bit later when that sun comes out. And as for our hippo, well, he could be anywhere. He could be Twin Dams, he could be up near Buffelshoek Dam, might have gone south into Hofmans or Little Gowrie, so he could really be at any place at the moment. But otherwise there's not very much going on here. It seems as though it's all quite quiet. There is a few hatches of insects on the water, which is mostly little mayflies, and those will continue even when it is dry. You can see there are some little movements. There's actually a terrapin swimming as well. Well done, Craig. There it is, slowly gliding across as the sun breaks through the clouds. And underwater it goes. But all those other small little circles that you see are not rain. It's actually little insects that are emerging from the water. And so, like I say, you'll get a lot of mayflies that will come out, and what little trichos, which is a short name, but I forget their full scientific name, that they come out. They're tiny little insects. So they also would be around. Now I just want to check around the other side of the waterhole here, because I can't see with the rain covers on. So I'm going to do a little loop around just to check that there's no leopard lurking in these thickets. We know that Hosana and Shongile like to lurk around here sometimes in the cover of these quarries, so I'm going to have a little look for them. And it seems like it's interesting just to see how Hosana has been moving lately. He seems to be covering quite a bit of distance, as is Shongile. They're going a lot into the northern side and up towards, even Hosana was seen up all the way towards, you know, Sandy Patch area, which is a lot further north than I've seen him. Personally, I've never seen him up that way. So it's interesting just to watch these two and the way that they're moving around now and seeing where they're going. And you can see there's a blacksmith lapwing that's not very impressed with me coming around this side of the dam, making quite a bit of noise, and why they get their name, as you can hear when it calls. It's basically meant to mimic a blacksmith hitting his anvil, and so that's where it's come from. They are beautiful birds with the white and grey and black, and off you go. I'm sorry I disturbed you guys. I'm sure they've probably got a nest somewhere close to the water. They often nest very close to the water, and the fact that they're not dive bombing me means that I didn't get close enough for them to perceive me as a major threat. So we'll just try and leave them alone. I don't want to antagonize them in any further. But alas, nothing at Treehouse Dam, so we shall continue. I'll go check Twin Dams, maybe go down towards Chitwa Dam as well. Now, I just want to see here. It looks like there might be tracks. There is indeed tracks for Shongile here. Now I just wanted to work out how fresh these are, or whether or not they're worth following, but they look as though they're going up towards Philemon's dip side, so I think I might follow these. And while we do that, and we're talking about spotted cats, let's go back to Ali with Thandi and Tamba.
Right, we have moved places, and I think that I have melted into the sea just to be able to have a view. But how amazing is that? That just gives you a clear idea of what a stunning tree this is, and how beautiful Tamba looks up there. I think, wow, it was definitely worth coming around. And now with the sun starting to shine and this beautiful golden light coming through and this magnificent jackalberry, I don't think we could ask for a better shot. This is just incredible. Yes, I think we can look at it again. That is just stunning. Really, really stunning. Ooh, I am getting a bit dizzy. Tamba, where are your manners? Dropping food like that. And there comes Tandi. She keeps coming whenever he drops something. Maybe she's realized that it's easier not to fight her son and just wait for him to drop things. Now we're also here because if she does go up, we think this might be one of the best possible views. But no, she's just carried on eating down there. Cubby, you're wondering if leopards control the flick of their tail. Well, they can, but it's just most likely it responds to some sort of subconscious attitude or mood that they're in. Often when they're thinking, when they're stalking, you'll see that their tail starts flicking. So they can, at some level, control it. But I think a lot of the times it just happens by instinct without them realizing that they're actually doing it. I think this is the best view from them. Especially now that his face is in this direction, because it just gives you an idea of just how massive the branches of this jackalberry are. And I'm sure this tree is about maybe 150 to 100 years old, perhaps even more. And we've got a leopard that's a year old enjoying his meal on top of there. How amazing is that? Oh.
gorgeous Tamba. It doesn't seem like there's too much left. I think he's pretty much finished with this kill. Ah! Yep, dropped it on top of Mom. Yeah, you better be careful. It's the third time you've done that. Luckily Tandi's happy, so she's not giving Tamba too much trouble. He's being very thorough, licking the bones that he's got just to make sure that he takes out every possible bit of food from the bone. But I think it's pretty much finished, unless whatever it is that he dropped had a bit more meat, and that's what Tandi's enjoying down at the bottom. And she's pretty much just below him, but the view is not great on her. Oh. Okay, watch out you don't fall. Oh, maybe there was some more hanging on the other side. That is beautiful. Thanks. Sorry. Thanks. Look at that face.